The Strangled Girl. I have been through a lot spiritually and I am only 18. I have a very strong sense for the paranormal, and am very in tune with the spirit world. A story of mine. Recently my brother had bought a new house and at the time I had spent a lot of time there with him and by myself. I had been having migraines at the time, so my ability to sense was at an all-time low. I had slowly been sensing something in the house. A spirit of a little girl. She was a nice little girl that had died at a young age and was abused and locked away in her room. She died at the age of 9 from strangulation. One day I was alone and I heard footsteps and I thought it was nothing until they came running down the steps and stopped in the room with me. I had then gotten curious with the situation as I had not had any major occurrences lately. I got up and followed the spirit upstairs, where then a second set of footsteps followed me up and I entered one of the upstairs rooms. I looked around, then opened the closet and the door to the room slammed and what sounded like a chain lock seemed to have locked by itself. I turned around and ran to the door and swung it open. It seemed as if there was tension before the door swung open, then I heard footsteps run down the steps, then it was over just as fast as it began. Shadow Angel. Forgive me if the story has no relation to the title, for I have not seen the thing that haunted us but only heard and saw the thing's shadow. It started when I slept over my best friend's house. We were alone for the night since his parents were at their grandmother's house. My best friend Jean was a light sleeper and a mere noise could wake him easily. I was afraid he wasn't going to get a night's sleep, so I slept with him in his room. By midnight, I felt a chill and woke up to see him staring wide-eyed at the door. I thought what was wrong and asked him what was wrong, but soon I heard heavy stumps on the hardwood floor outside of the room and something heavy being dragged. He was pale and almost looked like he was about to faint. The thing outside proceeded walking. It would walk until the end of the hall and then walk back. After maybe half an hour, the figure stopped in front of Jin's bedroom door and began to forcefully open the door by pounding on it. It stopped after a few minutes, but the march still proceeded. Frightened, Jin's only choice was to call his brothers to pick him up. When they picked up, the march stopped. The next day, we asked his brothers if they had experienced it as well, and all have answered, no. But Jin's grandmother asked us questions. What, it marching or walking lamely? And we answered it was walking lamely. And she questioned, did it stop at the end of the hall? And we answered yes. She asked us again, was it dragging something? We responded yes. And she smiled and said, it's only guarding you. We didn't say a word anymore. For we knew it wasn't guarding us, but it was disturbing and trying to hurt us, scaring us out of our minds. I've seen spirits my whole life. I'm only 15 years old, but I have had and I'm continuing to have several experiences with spirits. When I was about 6 years old, after my grandfather passed away, I would often see him in the mirror behind me, only for a split second. He would also appear in my dreams, which were very vivid. When I expressed my childlike concern to my parents, they passed it off as my way of grieving. Ignoring it, I went about my life normally after that until I was about 9 years old. I first would have a thought stuck in my head like an annoying tune for days. It seemed to me that maybe I was having some sort of OCD or anxiety, but my reoccurring thoughts began to come true. It started with family unexpectedly visiting, or odd, unpredicted storms. I thought my ability was pretty cool for a while, until I predicted a fatal car accident. I had a horribly disturbing dream about a family crashing their car on a busy road. I obsessed over this more than I had any other incidents. I drew pictures, wrote stories, and even talked to my teacher about it. 2 weeks later, a blue Toyota was reported causing a pile-up on the highway, killing a family of 4. I'm doing exactly remember how I reacted to this, but thinking back on it, it's quite disturbing. Now, and for the past 3 or so years, I've begun to see things very often. Sometimes in the form of flashing or blinking lights, dark shadows that would move around in the corners of my eyes, and finally full-on people. When I see spirits that look like people, they're usually accompanied by a sense of dizziness and an almost haze-like sheen around them. Some spirits I see once, but a few I see on a day-to-day basis when I'm awake and also in my dreams. They've never spoken to me out loud, but I feel like in my dreams, when they speak, they're directing it towards me, and when I am awake, random nagging voices always find their way into my head. As if apparitions aren't enough, I'm constantly hearing noises like footsteps, heavy breathing, and unexplained thumping. And to accompany the ever-expanding list of unexplained events, on several occasions, I find objects misplaced. Keys not in the dish, one shoe across the room, a box of matches in the middle of the kitchen floor. Things that obviously were not put there by me or someone in my family. My mom, grandmother, older sister, and niece have all experienced at least one of the things I described above. I'm thinking that something must run in females on my mother's side of the family. Any thoughts?